New Year's Eve 2007. The Denver Broncos have just completed their final game of the season. The team had a subpar 7-9 record, but there's a lot of hope in the organization. That's because of a rookie who's emerging as a superstar. This would be Brandon Marshall, a talented wide receiver drafted in the 4th round. The main reason he fell so low was legal and character issues that teams wanted to avoid. Regardless, he kept his act together and balled out his rookie season. So in order to celebrate a year of hard work, Brandon and 2 teammates decide to go out in downtown Denver. That would be 3rd-year running back Darrent Williams and 5th-year wide receiver Javon Walker. Coincidentally, Denver Nuggets star Kenyon Martin is throwing a birthday party downtown as well. So the 3 Broncos head downtown around 11 o'clock. The Broncos arrive outside the club, and there, a Rolling 30s member named Willie Clark is arguing with the bouncer. The bouncer won't let him in the club, so Willie gets in his face and starts arguing. Meanwhile, Brandon Marshall and the Broncos skip the line and head right in. While he's walking in, Brandon Marshall hears his name being uttered, so he turns around and Willie Clark gets in his face. The 2 exchange words and Brandon Marshall leaves it alone. About an hour later, Willie Clark returns to the club with his Rolling 30s associates. This time, they get inside and look for the Broncos players. They locate Darrent Williams and Brandon Marshall's cousin, and according to witnesses, Brandon's cousin sprays champagne all over Willie Clark. This turns into a verbal altercation, the Rolling 30s versus the Denver Broncos. Everyone heads outside. This is when Brandon Marshall and Willie Clark get into another heated altercation. Willie Clark reaches down to his waistband, prompting Brandon Marshall to say, "You ain't got nothing on you." For the time being, he was correct, but he also knew that this could change. So Brandon Marshall decides to head home early. Meanwhile, his teammates remain at the club. 20 minutes later, the rest of the Broncos hop in a stretch limousine. The limo heads up Spear Boulevard, but that's when the unexpected occurs. The Rolling 30s have been following them the whole time, so they pull beside the limo at a red light. The story made national news, and Denver's district attorney wanted to make things right. However, early on there were no leads on the case. Instead, they conducted raids on the whole Rolling 30s. On February 26, 2007, 49 Rolling 30s were arrested in Denver. What they discovered is that the Rolling 30s were into some serious business. Inside one of the houses, they found $1.5 million in cash. This ultimately sent away a large portion of the Rolling 30s. Unfortunately though, Willie Clark was not included in this. And because of that, the indictment did nothing to bring peace to the Broncos players. The Darrent Williams passing devastated the Denver Broncos and none more than Brandon Marshall. He admitted that he felt somewhat guilty knowing that he had escalated the situation. He even told the media that he thinks about it every night. Honestly, you have to feel horrible for him. Yes, he did escalate the argument, but he is in no way responsible for another man's actions. Regardless, the guilt can eat you alive, and the only thing you can do is to make things right. All he wanted was justice, and a year and a half of uncertainty was difficult. During this period, he sort of had a rough go at things, and it all came out in early 2008 when he was pulled over for DUI. During the stop, he raged at Denver police for not attempting to solve the case that claimed his teammate's life. He also screamed how much he hates the city of Denver and how he can't wait to leave. Not too long after, Javon Walker had a similar incident in Las Vegas. The guys were struggling and it was obvious that they needed their justice. Thankfully, it would eventually come in October of 2008. Willie Clark was officially arrested for the incident on New Year's Eve. During the trial, Brandon Marshall and several teammates took the witness stand against Willie Clark. This handed him a life sentence, bringing peace to everyone around the situation.